everybody, I'm Diane Brady. I'm here with Ron Busby Sr., who is the founder, president, and CEO, U.s.black Chambers. Talk about, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us here at BLK. How did this start? What was the idea that came to you for this?
It's a great question. 15 years ago, I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, running the local black chamber, and I had a small business, a janitorial service, in a community that only had about 3% black population. So our voice was there, but it wasn't very loud as a community, but we had had some success. My business personally was doing very well, and as leading the Chamber of Commerce, we had had some success. I remember, like it was yesterday, I was in my backyard, I was praying on a Friday night about, man, it would be great if there was just some kind of a national organization, because I was looking to see what was next for me in my career. And then by that Sunday afternoon, I got a phone call from a gentleman out of California saying that they were looking to start a new national or U.s.black chamber. I moved to Washington, D.C. in March of 2009. At that time,
what a great time to be going
right
to
after
Washington.
The election of President Obama.
Did it feel?
Oh gosh.
What did it feel like there? Because I know people who went there and just talked about how it kind of felt like a new day.
That city was on fire. I had not ever lived in Washington, D.C. or the Northeast for that matter.
Yeah.
But going there, even without having relationships or really even an infrastructure, it just felt like the place to be.
Yeah.
I remember, and I tell this story often, it was snow on the ground. I was taking a double-decker bus tour, and I looked out and saw the license plates that read taxation without representation. And I thought to myself, that's who black business owners had been historically. Historically, we've done great things in reference to civil rights, in reference to education, home ownership, but in reference to business acumen, business growth, we really did not have anyone carrying our message forward for us, and really felt like that was the next leg of this race. And so we created the U.s.black Chamber at that time, and what we still call our 5 pillars, which are advocacy, access to capital, contracting opportunities, entrepreneurial training, and chamber development.
You just had an acquisition.
Yes.
Why? How does that take you forward to black broadcasters? What pillar is that developing?
It really revolves around our advocacy pillar, around our education pillar, and contracting. We just got out of COVID-19, and when we surveyed our businesses, we lost 42% of all black-owned businesses during that period of time. Yeah. And when we surveyed them, 70% said the reason that they went out of business was just lack of information. Our information wasn't getting to the business owners, weren't getting to our communities in a timely manner for them to be able to make good business decisions.
So you mean like access to the support that was available, access to sort of infrastructure to continue the business? Is that the sort of thing you're talking about?
Exactly. The thing about Washington, D.C., there are great programs being developed, but they very seldom reach outside of the DMV. They very seldom reach our communities where our businesses are located. But what we know is that most people listen to some form of radio or TV, and many times it's black-owned media that they get their information from. And so when we said we've got to look at how do we continue to grow our businesses is through good information, and that's where we partner with the National Association of Black-Owned Broadcasters.
You talked about the energy in 2009. Talk about the energy now in 2023. A very different feel in Washington, different feel in the country. Where are you now as a chamber and what you're thinking about?
Great question. We lost so many of our businesses during the COVID period of time. So 78% of our firms have reopened. Many of them opened up a third time. And so we've had some growth. If you look at business startup, black businesses have been the fastest growing startup firms. Black women business owners are the fastest growing inside of that sector. And so from our community, we have a very optimistic perspective on what the future of black business looks like.
What about you? I want to, like Ron Busby Sr., because you went to Washington and you felt this kind of energy. What are you feeling now? Are you feeling the same energy or has it changed?
I'm always energetic. I'm always seeing the glass overflowing, not just half full. And so my perspective is always one of what do I need to do to continue to move our businesses and our message forward? Right now in Washington, D.C., as well as around the country, affirmative action programs, DE&I programs are under attack. And so now my challenge is to take my advocacy voice to really fight to make sure that we don't lose the grounds that we've gained over the last 50 to 60 years. And so many of the programs that have been created under minority status are now being attacked, and they're asking us to prove the fact that we have been disadvantaged, where in the past, based upon my race, that was enough. In today's environment, that's no longer enough. We understand that we've had some success, but if you look at the wealth gap, both personally as well as professionally, our communities have not did at that wealth gap at all. And so we say, now is not the time to remove any of the programs that have helped us gain the minor support and growth that we've had across the country.
So tell me about what your priorities are now, the approach you take. Because now you've got scale, you've got 100 chambers, you've got a voice, you're well known. What are you doing in this environment? Is it education more widely? Is it educating the people in Congress? Where are you putting your energies?
Great questions, and we do a little bit of all of those. And that's why the 5 pillars are so important. From an education standpoint for our business owners, we do about 18 webinars each month, free of charge, so that our businesses have the resources, the acumen, as well as the relationships that they need to be able to grow. But we also have an advocacy voice. That's why we are in Washington, D.C. So we're talking to our congressional members, we're talking to our senators about the importance of making sure that Black-owned businesses not just are at the forefront of the conversation, but aren't being left out of the back end of the conversations as well.
So I want to ask you another question, because we had a conversation earlier off camera. You were talking about digitizing some of the some of the publications and the importance of history. And so talk about that a little bit. What impact do you want to have? What do we need to do now to really sort of make sure at this moment in time where we're entering a whole new era of innovation with AI and such? What are the priorities that you would have us
I think now is a great time for technology as technology is evolving. What we've got to make sure is that Black information is included, it is authentic, and is being written and told by African Americans. Our stories are usually just like the lion. And if you hear from the lion's perspective, it's always the hunter that has won.
Yeah.
In our case, we're saying we want to make sure that our voices are heard. If right now you Google Black excellence, or if you go to AI and look up Black excellence, you find very little information about Black business, about Black history. You'll find beautiful people
created by a bot
that are
oh my God, really?
Beautiful
okay,
Black
that's
people
scary.
with very little information.
Yeah.
And so it's important for us to digitize the information, our history, so that it can be told as we move forward. We know that there's a lot of folk that are trying to remove African American history out of our schools, out of our books. And so AI is going to take a lot of place of that. It's going to replace many of the historical places that we've gotten our data and information from. So we've got to make sure that it's authentic, as well as coming from Black minds, as well as historical Black organizations, like Black newspapers, Black media.
Well, you're on your way. You're on your way, especially as you're growing and acquiring these new assets. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you for Forbes for having us. We are excited about what you guys are doing in reference to digital content, and the U.S. Black Chamber is making sure that our voice is going to be carried along with yours.
Very much so. Thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Ron.
Thank you.